pending exploration licence applications. Combined, these projects represent a portfolio of tenements which the company considers to be highly prospective for economic gold and copper deposits. Chris, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Yeah, well, thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure to present the Legacy Minerals story. We recently listed in September, and it's been an exciting couple months for us since that listing. We're solely focused on New South Wales, so out at the back door here, down the road, close to infrastructure, and it's a great jurisdiction, one of Australia's premier mining and exploration districts. Mandatory disclaimer with a good photo of some visible gold from our Harden drill site down there. So why invest in Legacy Minerals? It really comes down to discovery exposure. So we've got 6 great projects. I'll really focus on 3: Cobar, Ballura, and Rocklea. So Cobar, we're right in the centre of a really prolific mining and exploration district up in northwestern New South Wales there. Ballura, very exciting, low sulphidation epithermal system, and it's one of New South Wales' largest epithermals. So I'll talk a bit about that and the potential that we see in that. We've got your typical great-looking porphyry target at Rocklea, so right bang in the centre of that, Cadia Ridgeway, Ordovician host rock group there. We're value leveraged that exploration success, so we've been actively drilling. We've got 6 projects, all 100% owned, all granted as well now. Strong news flow over the coming months, and we're expecting assays to be coming out imminently for 2 of our drill campaigns, as well as a series of other geophysical and geochemical programs that we're doing. Importantly, and a good differentiator, we're new on the market. Our market cap of 13 million really puts us on a very good footing for significant growth in the company. We've got the right exposure to the right groups of metals, particularly gold and copper. And importantly, for a junior like us, we're targeting these high-grade shallow systems. So, we're not drilling deep targets, we're not drilling undercover targets. What we're seeing is mineralisation at surface. Low-cost opportunities to bring on additional targets into the portfolio as well. And it showcases the robust, package of tenements that we really have. And we're also willing to look at unique and different ways to add value for our shareholders, and one of them is a recent deal that we did with a San Francisco-based artificial intelligence exploration company. So a good package, $4.5 million that are getting spent across our battery metals tenements. We really feel that gives us significant discovery exposure without legacy shareholders having to front the cash for that drilling. Corporate snapshot. I won't go into it in a whole lot of detail, but significant board and management ownership of the company. So we're invested and we're continuing to invest. We've got a mix of the grey-haired board members there as well. Dr. David Carlin, Doug Menzies and Matt Wall, as well as Tom and I. So some junior guys, we've got skin in the game and we're keen to really make this company a success. Cobar, I'll kick it off. I talked about being positioned in the heart of the Cobar Basin. It's a fantastic district and we really are in the centre of that activity. We're less than 10k south from Glencore CSA mine, which is Australia's highest grade copper mine, recently sold for cash consideration of $1.1 billion US. When you look at the neighbours that we've got there, Aurelia to our east, we've got Sandfire to our west, who actually moved into Cobar after we did back in 2019. We've got Peel Mining to the south as well. You can certainly look at their market caps and look at legacy. And when I talk about exposure to a discovery and what that does to a share price for a company like us, that this really materialises that. There's only been 4 RC holes across the tenement, so very sparsely drilled, and that again presents that opportunity that hasn't been fully tested. We're seeing gold at surface in lag anomalies. The government as well continue to co-fund exploration on the tenement as well, so that's a great endorsement from the taxpayer that money's being spent out there, and they're coming out again to do more aerial work, gravity and seismic work as well. Sort of just show what we're seeing on the tenement. This is a bit of a cross-section that shows the Peak Gold Mines, which we're right adjacent to, and you can see that A to B cross-section there. It's a bit of a cartoon, the schematic. But really, Cobar type deposits form along these mineralised, or these faults, these structural pathways. And what we've done is peg a bit of ground that has significant regional faulting, and those faults are host to these Cobar type deposits. So you layer that up with, the geochemical anomalism, the geophysics, and you start to see some fantastic targets. And in terms of where it's located, we're right near town, close to infrastructure, close to operating mills. There's probably no better place in New South Wales to make a discovery, as a lot of them translate to mines, probably more than any other region in New South Wales. So Ballura's 100% owned. We pegged that a couple of years ago, and it's one of New South Wales' largest low sulphidation epithermals. So epithermals, I'll just sort of explain exactly, what that is and why people are interested in them. Is that world-class potential? New South Wales is home to some significant epithermal systems. The most notable is Evolution's Cow Mine, 15 million ounces. Bowden's up north, that's 275 million ounces silver equivalent. We've got Mineral Hill, fantastic Cobar type epithermal as well, and our Ballura project. And what we're seeing there is all the right ingredients for that world-class potential. That's bonanza grades, so we've got assays in the historic workings up to 4,000 grams per tonne silver, significant base metal content as well. But what makes that really attractive is when you multiply that across a district scale that we see there. And that gold zone that we're starting to shore up, that 4Ks by 2Ks, is very, very similar to the gold zone that defined Cowal in the early days. And that's just a small part of this 27 square kilometre hydrothermal alteration footprint. Limited drilling. There's only been about one drill hole every 72 hectares on this tenement, so completely undertested. What we're seeing here, again, another sort of schematic, and it's important to show it, and some good rocks there too. We're a booth that's got a couple good rocks on display if you want to come and have a look at the copper and the gold and silver that we can see in it. But it's just the real textbook features. And so this gets a lot of geologists excited, a lot of mining companies, is that when you've got an epithermal system and we can prove that it's preserved, you're very confident around the grades, you're confident around the mineral placement, and confident around the development pathway for it. We've been drilling out the Mount Felsted project, and you can see some of the rock chips there. What that looks like from a long section is this. Historically mined as a lead and zinc mine, probably not an appreciation 100 years ago for the significant silver and gold grades that are there. And we've recently got some fantastic drill holes, intercepts, 2 metres at 30% lead plus zinc, 5 grams gold, almost 100 grams silver, from a shallow 148 metres. So it's mineralised from surface, it's open up to surface, open down plunge, along strike, and we haven't drilled below 150 metres. So to be seeing this sort of the grades and the widths shallow at surface, if you recall the image before, we really are at the tip of the iceberg here. And where this system sort of sits on the overall tenement package represents less than 1% of that 8 square kilometre gold zone. So if that's what we're seeing across less than 1% of the project, and we're seeing the textures and the grades across that large district scale, you can certainly appreciate the growth potential of this tenement. Talk about Rocklea. So Rocklea, we're in Australia's premier copper gold porphyry district. Home to big mines such as North Parkes, but most notably Katie Ridgeway. One of Australia's largest gold mines, 50 million ounces gold. They produce gold at virtually for free because it comes as a credit to the copper production that they get. So fantastic district. And it's one that, people think that New South Wales has been, well explored, and it hasn't. And the Boda discovery is a classic example of that Alkane held that Boda ground in the Molong Belt for 28 years before they put in that drill hole. Alkane also held our ground at Rocklea, and they never put a drill hole in, and they never explored it for porphyry mineralisation. So we went in after the government came out with a survey that said that the ground at Rocklea was the most prospective for porphyry copper gold mineralisation in the Rocklea-Goolgong volcanic belt, home to companies like Anglo American, Freeport, Newmont, have all been exploring in that district. So it really underpins what we see as a great target there. And we've also got confidence that just to our south, 10 kilometres away, we've got the racecourse porphyry being aggressively drilled by a British listed company, Extract. They're at 71 million tonnes. They say they're on track for 500 million tonnes at 0.5% copper. And what we're seeing on our tenement looks very similar to that, very analogous in the potassic anomalies and very similar in the radiometric signatures as well. Importantly, and this is important to a small junior like us, is that the porphyry they've got down there is preserved close to surface. So they start to intercept the porphyry from 11 metres, and that intercept there that you see, which was one of the world's best drill holes last year, at 920 metres at 0.3% copper from 110 metres. So you're not talking about drilling out porphyries, at huge depths here. And that's obviously very attractive for us in terms of the cost benefit of putting in some drill meters here. What we've done on the property is really start to showcase that copper potential. We're shoring up again another large copper system here. We've got about a 4 kilometre by 2 kilometre zone of rock chips greater than 0.5%. It's been very untested, as I said, the district, home to some historic copper mines that graded up to 21%. And it really is starting to fit that sort of textbook model that we like to see in these porphyry systems. And across that image there, which shows some of the geochemical textures, there's only been 22 RAB holes. So they put them down towards the bottom, didn't test the porphyry area of interest, and didn't test anything below 15 metres. So again, very much wide open, for a discovery to be made by us. And again, I'll just point out, again, the right ingredients in the same Ordovician rock group that hosts Cadia, that hosts North Parks, and significant copper anomalism on surface. So I'll talk about Harden. Harden's a bit of a district that's been overlooked in New South Wales as everyone sort of chased the big porphyry story. And what we did is went down and we pegged out, a district scale control in a fantastic region, produced, close to 500,000 ounces of gold. And we tied up the two biggest historic gold mines, both shut down before the First World War, producing 75,000 ounces at commendable 28 grams per tonne. They had a big cut-off grade back then. They needed to produce anywhere between 12 to 15 grams per tonne, which what that has meant is they've left a lot of grade behind, and that grade is near surface. And you can start to see the story that they're building down there. No one had ever drilled Harden. We're the first company in 100 years since they shut it down. But those 5 metres at 7, 3.6 at 21, you're starting to see a very good story of high-grade gold hits, and again, close to surface, 110 metres, 116 metres, 20 metres. That is important, when you're assessing, the economic and the future potential of these mines when we start to look at transitioning them towards deposits and feasibility studies. We see the scale in the district as well. It's an orogenic system, which again, that's why it hasn't been appreciated in New South Wales, but it's a shear hosted. It strikes, we've got these two main gold corridors that strike up to 12 Ks in some instances, very untested. And it's unloved. And certainly if this project sat in WA, it would have been, drilled out completely, these orogenic style systems. So we're very excited about what we're seeing here. And again, the consistency in the grade, give us good confidence around resource definition. I talked at the start about this exploration alliance that we signed. So you would have seen Legacy, we're not a single project company. We've got 6 projects in the portfolio, so it's a lot for a small company, but that gives our shareholders, exposure to just multiple different discovery opportunities across the range of projects. And we teamed up with this company based in San Francisco. They're backed by some of Australia's largest venture capital funds. And they take an approach to exploration using machine learning, artificial intelligence to generate targets. They've got their own drill rigs. They generate those targets. They go out to site at their own cost. They'll drill them. And if they are successful in getting an economic intercept, then they actually get a royalty over that subblock. So it's a fantastic opportunity for us to sort of get that discovery exposure without having to spend the money. And interestingly, we retain 100% ownership, so it's unlike a traditional joint venture in which you're giving away the project. So we always retain that ownership, which gives us corporate flexibility too. These are the 2 projects, the copper, nickel, tin focused ones. They're quite large systems. They've been drilled previously, and there's been limited success, but very good smoke across a lot of them. And if you're talking 79 metres at almost 0.3% copper from surface, you're looking at a system that's heavily mineralised. It's across 8 kilometre strike, and again up the north, Mulholland, right near Sky Metals Dorodilla tenement. Fantastic sort of package. So we're very keen to get those guys out there. Exploration, it's a busy time for us. We've got lots of results expected to hit the market over the coming weeks. Assays, some geophysics reports as well. So keep a close eye out for that. And I'll just sort of summarise why I think that guys should take a real close look at Legacy. Is that immediate discovery opportunities, the depth of projects in one of Australia's best mining and exploration districts. We're focused on delivering shareholder values as significant shareholders in the company. There's a vested interest that we want to see this company succeed. And we're really at the forefront and looking at ways that we can add value to our shareholders through joint ventures and as well as alliance agreements as well. So I thank you all for your time. Booth next door. If there's any questions, come and see the rocks. So, thank you.